What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the painting desk. Today I'm painting the Parasite of Mortrex in my custom Tyranid high fleet color scheme. It's a pretty simple scheme. It has a lot of dry brushing and washes and layers. So we start with the skin. I'm going to dry brush on Elysian green over the black undercoat all over the skin with a old makeup brush. They make great dry brushes. So getting as much paint off the brush as possible. Just gently flick over all the skin areas. Alright, with the dry brush done, we're going to go over the wings with Dawnstone. I thin this out so it'll get a nice coverage. And you can see it does go on a little thin, so this will require 2 coats. So I apply this all over the wings, avoiding the skin bones. So you can see it's fully covered now, and then we're gonna come back over with that same color, the second coat, so we get a nice good coverage. And with 2 thin coats applied, it's got good enough coverage to move on to the next color. So now we're gonna go over all the chitin with Sotek green. So just being very careful just to pick out the chitin areas and avoiding the green skin fleshy parts, which we colored with our dry brush from the first step. So applying it to the back armor plates and the tail. And this may take a second coat as well. It goes on a little thin. And then there's also a dead head on the base of the model, so I'm going to paint that the same color as the chitin so it matches. Not really sure what kind of creature it is. Next we're going to layer on Xerxes Purple over the wings mixed with Lemon Medium. So you'll have to experiment with the consistency, but you're looking for something that's a little thinner than contrast paint, but a little thicker than a wash. And with that mixture, we're just going to go over all the gray areas on the wings to give them a nice purple color. And with our purple wash complete, you can see once it dries, get a nice blend of gray and purple. And then I'm going to go over again with Druchii Violet shade, just so we can get some really stark contrast in the recesses and to kind of blend the two colors together just a little bit more. And with that dried, I'm going to take Slaanesh Gray and do some very thin glaze coats over to bring back some of that grayish color. So with glazes, you want to make it very, very thin, but you also want to be careful how it pools. And it'll go on looking kind of intense, but once it dries, it will look much better. It's one of those paint schemes where you have to trust the process. And when that glaze is all dry, we're going to move on to the next step with Lemon Medium and Dawnstone. We're going to do a similar mixture. You want to get the same kind of viscosity that you had with the purple mixture. And we're going to go over all of the chitin and armor plates. So initially this went on a little thin, so I added some more paint to my mixture. So you may have to play around with the ratios until you get the consistency just right. And this is a bit better, so I'm going to move on and apply it all over the armor. This will look very ugly as you're putting it on, but it will dry much nicer. Also, you have to be careful to not let it pool too much in some areas, otherwise it'll dry kind of funny. And once that's dry, you can see it looks a bit better than it did when it was first applied. Now, depending how thin it is, sometimes I'll apply a second wash of the gray, but I think this is just right. So now I'm going to take Mechanicus Standard Gray, and we're going to color all the talons and spiky bits. So that'll be his claws, his teeth, his tail, and the little talons on the ends of the wings. And with that done, I'm going to take Nuln Oil and just go over all those parts I painted Mechanicus Standard Gray, as well as the recesses in the chitin, to add some contrast and do some recess shading. And with that done, we're going to take some Administratum Gray and do some edge highlights along the armor plates. I'm also going to apply it to some spots in the tail and in his two arms where it's kind of got toxic poison acid coloring. We'll need a white undercoat for this, or a light color, so that the technical paint will show through, which is going to be Tesseract Glow. So after shaking this for like 3 minutes, because it separates every time, just applying that over those light areas on the tail and in the arms to give it that toxic acid poison look. Also apply a little bit in the mouth. And with that done, it's time to touch up some details on the base. I'm going to use Rykarth Flesh and Castellan Green to color the Cadian helmet and skull. And use some of that Administratum Gray to color the Aquila on his helmet. And some Screamer Pink on the tongue and in the inside of his mouth. For the base, I'm using Astro Granite, and once that dries, I'm going to apply Agrax Earthshade over the entire base. And while that's drying, I'm going to take Technical Ard Coat and apply it all over the skin. So this is how I get that kind of wet alien Xenos look. You have to be careful not to get this on anything else except for the skin. And after letting that dry, I'm going to go over the base with Rykarth Flesh, the dry brush, just to make some of that detail pop on the base to give some more texture. And then I use Army Painter's Field Gray for the rims of my bases, for my Tyranids. It's a nice gray-green that really ties the whole scheme together and blends well on most tabletops. And there it is, the Parasite of Mortrex. Can't wait to get this guy out on the field and see what he can do. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We have battle reports, painting videos, and other hobby projects. Thanks for watching.